What if I told you that when you fall asleep and when you wake up matters more to your health than how many hours you actually sleep? A major 2024 study found that people with irregular sleep timing had up to 48% higher risk of dying from any cause, regardless of how many hours they slept. I'm Coach Janet J, and today on your next best step, I am going to show you the one sleep habit that protects your heart, your brain, and your mood. And it has nothing to do with getting more hours. Here's what happens every May. The sun is up past 8:30. The evenings feel endless. You are outside longer. Dinner happens later. You finally sit down and realize it's almost 10 o'clock and you still have not wound down. I know this one personally. No matter what time I go to bed, Santino is up right around 4:30, 5 o'clock if I'm lucky. He does not care that I had friends over on the deck till 10:30 or that I was at Red Rocks and didn't get home till midnight. His internal clock does not negotiate. So my mornings are fixed and my evenings are the part that drifts. That's how it works for a lot of us, right? Maybe it's not a dog like me, but rather a work schedule that starts early or someone you are caring for who needs you at a certain hour. The morning is locked. The evening is where the slipping happens. And in May, when the light is pouring in the windows at 8:30 at night and it does not feel like bedtime, the drift gets wider without you choosing it. In 2024, researchers at Monash University in Australia published a study in the journal Sleep that changed how scientists think about rest. The lead researcher, Daniel Windred, and his team analyzed over 10 million hours of wrist worn activity data from nearly 61,000 adults. The average age of the participants was about 63. So, this is kind of our demographic. They measured something called the Sleep Regularity Index. Essentially, how consistent your sleep and wake times are from one day to the next. What they found was striking. People with the most regular sleep timing had 20 to 48% lower risk of dying from any cause compared to the most irregular sleepers. They also had significantly lower risk of death from cancer and from heart and metabolic disease. And here's the part that even surprised the researchers. Sleep regularity was a stronger predictor of mortality risk than sleep duration. Let me say that again. The consistency of when you sleep and wake mattered more than how long you slept. This does not mean that the hours do not matter. They do. The American Heart Association includes healthy sleep as one of its life's essential 8 for cardiovascular health, and they recommend 7 to 9 hours for adults. What this study adds is that regularity deserves at least as much attention as duration, maybe more. So, why does this matter right now in May? Your body runs on an internal clock, a circadian rhythm that governs when you feel alert, when you get sleepy, when hormones release, when your body temperature rises and falls. Light is the single strongest signal that sets that clock. In the evening, as light fades, your brain begins producing melatonin, the hormone that signals your body it's time to wind down. Research has consistently shown that exposure to light in the evening hours delays that melatonin release. It pushes your internal clock later. And in late May, when the sun is not setting until well past 8 p.m., that delay happens naturally. You are not doing anything wrong. Your biology is simply responding to the season. The longer evenings push your sleep timing later without you making a conscious choice. Problem is that your morning obligations, work, the dog, the alarm, the person who needs you, do not shift with the sunset. So you end up with a schedule that drifts at night and snaps back in the morning. If you listen to our daylight saving episodes back in March, episodes 60 and 61, I mentioned this idea of social jet lag. That is what researchers call the mismatch between your internal clock and your actual life. And it doesn't just happen around the time change. It happens every summer, a little more each week as the days stretch longer. That is exactly the kind of irregularity the Windred study linked to higher health risks. Think about that for a second. You might be doing everything else well, eating thoughtfully, moving your body, managing stress, spending time in prayer, and still feeling foggy, still feeling like your energy does not match your effort. Sleep regularity could be the piece that has been slipping without you realizing it. Your body is keeping a running tally of every shifted bedtime and every inconsistent wake up. You might not feel it on any single night. Over weeks and months, though, it adds up. Psalm 127:2 says, "In vain you rise early and stay up late, toiling for food to eat, for he grants sleep to those he loves." I've shared this verse before early in the show and in the context of learning to trust God with your rest. And that message still stands. What I want to highlight today is a different layer of the same truth. This verse is a picture of someone grinding against their own rhythm, rising too early, staying up too late, pushing past what their body was designed to sustain. And God's response is a gift. He grants sleep. God built your body with a rhythm, a daily cycle of waking and resting that runs whether you pay attention to it or not. Honoring that rhythm is stewardship. And when you protect a consistent pattern of sleep, you are partnering with how He designed you to function. That is what it looks like to receive the gift well. This is one of those topics, again, that touches every pillar. Physically, irregular sleep increases cardiovascular and metabolic risk. The Windred study showed that clearly. Your heart, your blood sugar regulation, your immune function, they all depend on rhythm. Mentally, sleep regularity affects concentration, memory consolidation, and decision making. When your sleep timing shifts, your cognitive sharpness shifts with it. Emotionally, inconsistent sleep makes emotional regulation harder. The things that would normally roll off your shoulders feel heavier when your internal clock is out of sync. Spiritually, receiving rest as provision rather than earning it through exhaustion is an act of trust. A consistent bedtime is, in a way, a prayer of surrender. You are saying, I do not have to finish everything. God is still working while I sleep. Here is your next best step for this week. Notice your wake time anchor. For many of you, this is already set. Your job starts when it starts, or the person you're caring for needs you when you need you, or your Santino equivalent has an opinion at 4:30 in the morning. You may not get to choose your wake up time. That is real. What you can do is protect the other end. This week, pay attention to what time you are actually falling asleep, not what time you get into bed, but what time you are drifting off. And notice how much that time moves from night to night. That awareness alone is the first step. Then, if your bedtime has been creeping later with the longer days, see if you can pull it back by 15 or 20 minutes on at least 3 nights a week. You are not overhauling your entire routine. You're just narrowing the drift. The goal is to keep your sleep window, both ends, within about 30 minutes of the same time most days. That one change gives your body clock something steady to hold on to as the evenings stretch longer. Here's what we're carrying out of today. The research says sleep regularity may matter more than sleep duration. And summer is the season when regularity is most likely to slip. Scripture reminds us that rest is a gift to receive, not a prize to earn. And your one step this week is to notice the drift and narrow it, even 15 minutes closer to consistent most nights. Small, doable, and your body will notice. On Friday, we are shifting to something heavier and something that matters. Memorial Day is almost here, and for a lot of us, this weekend carries more weight than a barbecue. I'm going to talk about grief, the kind that lives in your body, not just your memory. That one's going to be worth your time. Follow or subscribe wherever you are listening or watching so you do not miss it. I will see you Friday. Take your next best step.